Hey guys, welcome to Investment Secrets 101. So today we're going to do a little bit of a case study again. I'm going to show something very interesting over here. If you guys remember, in the past few years, something called the coronavirus pandemic actually hit the whole entire world. And if you can't recall what is it about, it was this little tiny virus that came all the way from China, and it actually created havoc all around the world because there was lockdowns, there was health scares, and a lot of people couldn't work. It created a massive wave of economic turmoil. Stock markets actually went down during that time. As a matter of fact, things like crypto, Bitcoin, and even oil and gas, our oil prices crashed during that time because no one was using their cars. Now, however, I want to show a little bit of a case study today to make it a little bit interesting. There was actually one country that actually did pretty well during this time. And I'm going to show you this interesting clip that I actually found online on TikTok that I want to talk about. And that country in particular is this thing called Singapore. How did Singapore actually do during this crisis? Let's watch this little TikTok that I have right now. And if those of you want to know about it, I'll break this down and share with you how they actually thrive during the worst of times. So if you're ready, let's watch it.
Singapore is richer by over 200 billion Singapore dollars thanks to COVID-19. While COVID-19 shook the world, Singapore's foreign reserves under management of MAS and Temasek Holdings have grown by $235 billion. Temasek reported record returns of 24.5% for the year ending March 31, 2021, increasing its portfolio value from $306 billion to $381 billion, with $75 billion of profit. MAS contributed another $160 billion of profits from its portfolio. At the end of 2019, total official foreign reserves amounted to $375 billion, growing to $478 billion by end 2020 and $535 billion by June 2021. This does not even include profits from GIC, which will be posting its results at the end of this month. Assuming GIC contributes another $15 billion of profits, the total from the three entities would be $250 billion. The amount spent on the COVID relief packages so far are about $50 billion, which would still give Singapore a net gain of $200 billion. How did they achieve this? It is due to a robust combination of equities and government-issued securities like bonds, coupled with a strong currency and a global net creditor status. If the global economy is good, it's obviously good for Singapore too. If the global economy is bad but countries are using fiscal and monetary measures to stimulate their economies, Singapore still benefits thanks to its foreign investments. Even if domestic GDP is taking a temporary hit, unlike other countries, which are now taking on humongous levels of debt, pushing the burden on its repayment to future, aging generations, Singapore is actually using debt to optimize the returns from its various investments and be even more resilient in the face of global crises. In this particular COVID-19 pandemic, it has not made the country weaker, but wealthier than ever before.
Okay, so isn't that cool? So let's go through this right now again. Now, if you're surprised and if you don't understand that video actually shows that Singapore as a country got a net of 200 billion extra dollars outside of the crisis. As a matter of fact, they actually made more than that. They paid 50 billion to help their nation, and on top of that, after everything else, they netted more than 200 billion until today. So I went to do a little bit more research and I want to share this with you guys. There are more charts like this available and it's actually true. So if you have seen that video right now, you realize that Singapore walked away from this entire 2 years pandemic richer. How much richer? If you look into the official websites over here, they actually are right now at 2021 June. As of 2021 June, 531 billion in foreign reserves sitting in their banks. Cool or not? That's a total of more than 200 billion US dollars profit that they have made during the worst of times. Now, here's more interesting than this. I dig a little bit deeper, and what this means is we actually found out that Singapore has actually got zero debt. If you look at all neighboring countries around Singapore, every single one of them has accumulated more debt ever since the pandemic. Most countries went out there to borrow more money from Thailand, who borrowed more than who now owes more than 265 billion in debt. We talk about Vietnam, who's 160 billion in debt. We talk about Malaysia, which is 239 billion in debt as of 2021. And Indonesia went out with 491 billion, almost $500 billion in debt. With all this coming in, it's pretty common because of all the necessity the government has to take in order to go and fend off the COVID pandemic, fill the medical needs of the people and the social needs of the people. This is what most governments do. But yet, here's the interesting part. not only did Singapore make more money, they end up after 2021 with zero debt. Now, how is that possible right now? So how many of you would like to know how Singapore actually did this? The question you're probably wondering after watching all this is, what was their strategies and what kind of lessons that you can learn from here? So I've taken this time to break down to give you two main lessons that I want to share with everyone over here. Hopefully you can do this in your life so that you can walk away with no debt and tons of money in your bank account. Should we do that? Okay, let's get started. So, if you're ready for this right now, let's get started with lesson number one. Lesson number one over here is a very weird lesson, and it dates back all the way about 10 over years before. You see, the deal is this. How did Singapore actually overcome this crisis was because they actually failed before. So that's right. One of the things I always tell a lot of people right now is that failure is the key to success. If you have never made mistakes in your life before, you won't know how to learn from those mistakes and fix those mistakes so that you can do better, correct? I want to share this typical advice over here that Singapore has failed before. This was not the first time that they actually experienced a health scare. So when did Singapore fail before? Singapore failed before when they had the previous health scare, and that happened in 2003 during the SARS crisis. Now, many of you over here and us over here were not affected, but the country of Singapore, the island of Singapore, SARS was a devastating impact to their economy. They had to have all these precautions we took during the times of COVID, where we had masks, we had isolations, we had businesses that had to shut down and close. So what did they do to call themselves a failure during that time? Their actions during the 2003 to 2005 times was to save money. Now, what's wrong with saving money? Well, the problem is this. If let's say there's a financial crisis happening to you right now, you decide to do nothing, you hunker down, and basically you actually take more money out from your savings to actually fuel yourself. Well, that sounds like a pretty good idea during the beginning of times, but the big problem about this is you probably want to ask yourself, how long can you last? And eventually, your income would deplete and force you to do things that you may not want to do during that time. So Singapore did the same thing. They had billions in reserves, and they actually spent quite a fair bit of these reserves, just like many countries that are doing that today, and almost put them into debt. So eventually, they had to come up with a solution to get out of the situation of using their savings, and they were forced to do something that Lee Kuan Yew would say never to do, is never to open a casino, and unfortunately they had to do that in order to save themselves. So they kind of sold a little bit of their integrity away to open 2 casinos and create billions of dollars coming in taxes in order to save them. So there you go, that was the story of Singapore in 2003-2005. So what happened then was Singapore realized that they should never ever dip into their savings ever again should there be another crisis coming in. And this, my friend, is what happened after 2002. 2002, Singapore changed their strategy. They told themselves, we're never going to do that again. We're never going to go out there to do something like this, to sell our souls just to make some extra money coming in. We'll never make sure when there's a crisis coming in to dip into our hands and get into our pockets, to get into our savings. So what was it that Singapore did to create them $200 billion? In just 2 years, what Singapore did was they invested during a crisis. That's right, my friends. So what I'm going to share with you right now is something very interesting. Most of you are thinking right now, with so little income generating right now, you want me to take savings out and actually go into investments? Well, that's right. That's what exactly Singapore did. You see, during this crisis, their GDP went down as well. Their income actually dropped during that time. They didn't focus on taking their savings out to put into the economy. What they did was they actually went out there and they actually invested. They showed charts after charts after charts of them going out there to put more money into the market rather than take it out. In 2020 alone, Singapore put in $1 trillion to attack the market when everybody else was not thinking about it. As a matter of fact, they put so much money into all foreign countries that needed their money to go in. They actually generated huge amount of income, either offering it out as debt services or putting into other things like, for example, manufacturing wholesale real estate. They perpetually put all their money all out there to work for them during the worst of times, bringing them the wealth they deserve today. So there you go. That's how Singapore got richer by 200 billion over dollars just by doing something that many people won't do today. So this is one of my lessons for Investment 101. I know it sounds unbelievable, but this is now standard proof to you that investments during the worst of times can help you guys over here. So if for those of you who are working really hard in your life right now, focusing on your current salary, don't focus too much on all your income that's coming in. Rather put those savings that you have in the bank account and make that money work hard for you and generate you that investment income. I hope you go out there to get as rich as the people in Singapore and have a prosperous life. Until the next time round, if you've liked the video I shared with you right now, please do share with many of your friends so they do understand and learn from it. And if you like what I have over here, please do like and comment below what else you want me to share, and I will do more to let you guys know how to invest better. So till the next time round, this is Investment 101 and this is Dr. Michael over here sharing you more tips with more information in time to come. See ya!